Welcome back, family. Thank you for tuning in as always. Let me drop a few thoughts on you. I think one of the things for us to be mindful of, more mindful than ever in this environment, is culture and the leader's role in creating and sustaining culture. A lot of us will lead in difficult times, and that's when culture really shows up. That's when the underbelly of culture really shows up in difficult times. And it's similar to finances. I remember a CFO saying once, when a company is highly profitable, sloppy financial management is not present sometimes because the company's profitable, maybe making a great margin. It's called a 15, 20%. And there's no need to look underneath the covers with rigor. And so people get away with doing sloppy things. But then when things tighten, market gets bad, margins go down, everyone comes out to audit, and you start looking around and you notice you're paying for recurring subscriptions for things that you don't use. You're ordering more supplies than you ever need. Your T&E policies, travel and travel and entertainment policies are outdated and just paying for crazy things. And the list goes on and on. Your accounts payables are not, account receivables are not, retrieved and managed in the proper time frames. And so you just have a lot of sloppy practices. But again, in good times, you may not notice it because you're making a great margin. But when bad times show up, all those things stick out because now you're looking underneath the covers with a level of rigor. I believe culture is similar. In good times, things are happening and people are having fun and maybe having parties and so on and so forth. When bad times happen, the underbelly of the culture shows up. What is ingrained in folks, or the lack thereof, shows up. And so it's important as leaders for us to constantly be leading, growing, harvesting, maintaining, monitoring the cultures. And here's a thought. I love Gallup's research because Gallup over the years has done so many studies to help understand the tenor and the temperature of corporate environments. And so their data to me is highly valid because they do wide studies and they go in depth into interpreting the data. And one of the things they say from a study is there are endless ways to define culture, but Gallup believes that culture simply comes down to, how do we do things around here? Just think about that for a second. It simply comes down to, how do we do things around here? How? How do we do things around here? So not that it just gets done, but how do we do it? The spirit in which we do it, the manner in which we do it, the attitude in which we do it. All those things matter. And here's some data points that they talked about after doing a recent study. If you improve culture, if you move the ratio of people that are happy within a culture to 8 and 10, here's some things you could realize. And these are 3 strong data points. 1, a 40% reduction in absenteeism. Now grab that for a second. If you're a manager, supervisor, leader, you know what it's like to deal with absenteeism when people don't show up, call out continuously, show up late, or what we also call just not being present in the workplace. So they're there, but not there. If you understand what I mean, they're there, but they're playing games, Royal Flush or whatever, spades, Monopoly Go most of the day, right? They get the minimum amount of work done and then they check out. So there's multiple forms of absenteeism that spreads the spectrum. A 41% reduction in absenteeism. What could that mean for you and your team? The second thing you talk about, 50% drop in safety incidents. Now, you may think, well, I work in an environment where we don't really have safety problems. Safety problems abound. There's some places where it's fairly obvious because it may be a factory and such. But no matter where you are, safety accidents can happen. And just think about that, a 50% drop in safety incidents. And then the third metric, and this one really is going to get you, a 33% improvement in quality. Think about that for a moment. A 33% improvement in quality. I don't know about you, family, but my experiences as of late, particularly starting during the pandemic and since, is that a lot of service has dropped. The feel of being served has dropped. I'm gonna say this, and I hope I don't really offend anybody. The idea of coming through a grocery store line or a drive-through or whatever and feeling like you are disrupting someone from doing their activities on the phone, as if like you're a disruption, right? Is it just me? That sense of, wow, I remember a time that people honored the customer and wanted their dollars, and whether it was in recognition that those dollars helped pay for their salaries or kept their business alive, or they just genuinely wanted to serve, I remember those feelings. And now, in many cases, you can feel like you're disrupting their day, right? Just think about that. That is service quality, right? 33% improvement in quality. And then you have product quality. How do you develop, manufacture, produce, promote, and put your product on the shelves? Imagine what you could be experiencing for yourself and your team if you get a 33% improvement in quality. So to my leaders, and I quite frankly believe we are all leaders, don't think about the title or the chair you sit in today. You have the ability to impact someone. Think about seriously how you are impacting culture.